Alright, continuing the non-firearms, the next subcategory are sub-weapons. And the first one is the exploding bottle. Causes an intense explosion, inflicts big damage on the enemies it catches. So these bottles you could either acquire throughout the game, or you can create them. So they bring back the creating element from Resident Evil Outbreak. The exploding bottle is created by combining the empty bottle and gunpowder. Alright, so let's go ahead and test the exploding bottle out. Alright, massive explosion. So the exploding bottle is basically the hand grenade of Resident Evil Revelations 2. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and test the exploding bottle on an iron head. Alright, so in both tests, it took 2 exploding bottles to take down an iron head. Now I was pretty sure that there would be a damage difference between close range and far range when it came to the blast radius of the exploding bottle. It still could be the case, just not for that instance. But the point is, 2 exploding bottles to take down an iron head definitely could kill a lot of normal enemies, especially if they are at close range, but it's definitely a good weapon for crowd control. And if you're in a fix, if you're getting cornered, it's definitely a good way to get away from the crowd. Alright, that is it for the exploding bottle. Alright, now for the next sub-weapon, the Firebomb Bottle. A firebomb that engulfs the surrounding area in flames. So this is basically the incendiary grenade of Resident Evil Revelations 2. Alright, let's test it out real quick. Alright, so the result is as expected, just a bunch of flames. And forgot to mention, the Firebomb Bottle is created with an empty bottle and alcohol. Alright, I know the perfect enemy to test the Firebomb Bottle on. I'm going to test it on a Revenant. Alright, I specifically chose the Revenant as my enemy to test the Firebomb Bottle on because it's a great example to show how the Firebomb has the initial exploding damage and then it continues damaging the enemy with the flame. In order to defeat a Revenant, you have to reveal its weak spot. What the Firebomb does for that is it destroys all of the possible places where that weak spot could be, exposes it, and then does the job itself and defeats the Revenant. When it comes to other enemies, you could use it as you please. It's good to take down other enemies too, thanks to the flame damage. But I just wanted to test it on the Revenant. Alright, that is it for the Firebomb Bottle. Now for the next sub-weapon, the Decoy Bottle. Lures enemies in, then explodes after a set amount of time, causing damage. Alright, this is very similar to the Decoy in Revelations 1, and this bottle is created by combining the bottle with an odorous chemical. So I don't think I can test the Decoy Bottle out alone without an enemy, so I'm going to go ahead and go straight to the enemy testing. I'm going to test the Decoy Bottle on a Revenant as well. Alright, so the Decoy Bottle does exactly what it's supposed to do. It attracted the enemy with the odorous chemical, and after a significant amount of time, I think it was about 10 seconds, it explodes. So it is just like the Decoy from Resident Evil Revelations. So yeah, no wonder it's called the Decoy Bottle. Alright, that is it for the Decoy. Alright, now for the last sub-weapon you can obtain in campaign. The Smokescreen Bottle. Creates a smoke screen for escaping or stealth attacks. And this bottle is created by combining the bottle with smoke powder. Alright, so let's go ahead and test the Smokescreen Bottle out. One quick mention, Natalia is actually able to use this bottle. It is the only sub-weapon she can use. So I guess you can regard this as the flash grenade of Revelations 2. Even though it doesn't use a flash anymore, It obscures the scene in a different way. This isn't a killing weapon, necessarily. It's just going to aid you in killing the enemy. And there is a perfect enemy to test this on. It is the Glasp.
More right! It's getting closer!
So Glasps are known for their invisibility technique, and they can be a real pain in the ass throughout the game. Oh shoot.
It's getting closer!
But as you can see here, the Smokescreen Bottle temporarily disables that technique, and they become exposed and much easier to kill. They're really all not that strong. Otherwise, yeah, the Smokescreen Bottle is a great way to expose them, and for an easy defeat. Alright, well, that is it for the Smokescreen Bottle, since it's not really a killing weapon. Alright, so the rest of the sub-weapons are featured in raid mode only. The first one is the Electric Bottle. Electric Bottle does exactly how it sounds. It's gonna create an electric shock. So this is exactly like the shot grenade in Revelations 1. So I'm gonna go ahead into a mission, and I'm gonna test it directly on an enemy. I'm just gonna show you what happens. I'm not gonna test it to kill the enemy, because just like Revelations 1, I'm just gonna simply show them off and move on. So here we go for the Electric Bottle. Alright, so just as expected, it created an electric surge. Alright, that is it for the Electric Bottle. Alright, now for the last sub-weapon, the Ice Bottle. Alright, so as the name suggests, the Ice Bottle freezes your enemies over. That is a unique grenade that has never been in a Resident Evil game before. Alright, that is it for the Ice Bottle, as well as all sub-weapons. Alright, time to heat things up. We're moving into the firearms. And the first category of firearms, of course, will be the handguns. And the first one is the MPM. Classic small-type handgun. Not very reliable. I'm pretty sure that's the Makarov in real life. And this is the first Resident Evil game I believe it's ever been featured. All of the weapons can be used by any character in raid mode, but in campaign, it can only be used by Claire. Since it's the first handgun, there's nothing really to compare it to, so let's go ahead and test it out. Alright, basic handgun, basic firing speed, basic reload speed, basic capacity, basic everything. All of that can change though when you upgrade the weapon. Alright, I am going to test the MPM on an afflicted. Alright, so 3 to 4 shots with the MPM to take down an afflicted. Now I made sure not to enable any of those skills that I thought of earlier, so that is actual damage right there. Whether at the beginning of the game or having all skills like I do. So it would have taken the same amount of shots for that specific afflicted in normal mode. Alright, so the MPM is a alright handgun, 4 shots, pretty basic if you go for the torso. But like I say, always go for the headshots. And of course, being a modern Resident Evil game, you shoot the head, it stuns them, it enables you to do a melee attack. Definitely save ammo that way. Alright, that is it for the MPM.
Fun shit! Go on without me! We'll regroup later! I heard him, kid! Go! You stay the hell alive, Fisher! Come on, you freaks! Catch me if you can!
Where did we go wrong? Where did we go wrong?
It's not too late!
Claire! Holly, don't die!
Oh my God! You're not supposed to be in here! How could you?
Daddy, Holly, oh, the guy just went off!
Geeky, go call an ambulance!
Moira!
now for the next handgun, the P10. Powerful handgun with piercing power. Functional, but not easily customized. So compared with the previous handgun, it seems this handgun has more firepower and higher capacity, but it has a slightly slower firing rate and less upgrade space. And like the MPM, you can only use this in Claire's scenario. Alright, let's test the P10 out. Alright, so it also has a slightly slower reload speed, but for the firepower compensation, I think it's worth it. Alright, let's test the P10 on an afflicted. Alright, so 3 shots from the P10 to take down an afflicted. Now, the MPM sometimes took 3 shots, so 50 points of firepower isn't very much in the short run, it seems. But the P10 is still a little more powerful than the MPM statistically. And if you put certain upgrades on it, you can make it quite a good handgun to use. Alright, that is it for the P10.
Escape.
Alright, now for the last regular handgun, the classic Amerige. That is the same unlockable handgun from Resident Evil Remake, Barry's handgun. It's also the same one featured in Resident Evil 5 and Mercenaries 3D, which Barry uses. And it has the same exact statistics as the MPM. So let's go ahead and test it out. Alright, well there's definitely one major difference besides the look. It has a much louder firing sound. Well, since this is Barry's campaign, I'm gonna test the Amerige on a Rotten. Alright, so the majority of the time it took 4 shots to take down a Rotten, although there was one shot where it took 5. But remember, I don't count the shot after they fall to the ground, because anything's gonna defeat them at that point. So it seems that the fact that it has the same statistics as the MPM is pretty true, but maybe Rotten are a little more powerful than Afflicted in this game, which I would say was the opposite in other Resident Evil games, but you never know. Alright, well, that is it for the Amerige.
You can't have her, she-Wesker!
Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and introduce this bonus weapons along with the handguns. It is the bubble gun. Toy bubble gun. The bubbles will temporarily stop the enemy's movements. So this is a weapon specifically for Natalia. It's pretty obvious since it's a kiddish looking toy. You unlock this by completing the campaign on countdown mode. And once you have this, even though it gives you C rank, it is pretty useful because you freeze the enemies with this and then defeat them with Barry. Makes your life a lot easier. Let's just test it out real quick. Alrighty then, let's just go ahead and test it real quick on a Rotten to see what it does. Alright, so as I said, the bubble gun is just so it can make it much easier to defeat your enemies. They do make it so where it's not too easy. You can't shoot more than one bubble at a time, otherwise the previous one will burst as soon as you shoot another bubble. Alright, well, that's it for the bubble gun. Now for the last handgun, as well as the only raid mode exclusive one, the triple shot from Resident Evil 6. So like I said in the beginning of the review, some of the raid mode exclusive weapons are throwbacks to weapons you've seen before. So being a raid mode only weapon, I'm just going to quickly test it out and move on. The reason I am not going to test the raid mode only weapons on enemies is because the statistics throughout raid mode change all the time dramatically, depending on the level of your weapon, what perks it has, and the kind of weapon you acquire. There's just way too many variables involved, and there is no fixed statistic of any of these weapons that are in raid mode only. So that is the ultimate reason I am not testing the weapons on enemies. I am simply just showcasing the weapon regardless of what level it is and how high or low the statistics are. Did the same thing in Revelations 1 for the very same reason. So here we go. Alright, that is truly the triple shot from Resident Evil 6. It has the burst fire and all. Alright, that is it for the triple shot, as well as all handguns.